Just another manic Monday. As I turn Pandora on instead of Facebook because I know what I'm doing because I'm a gosh darn professional. All right. Let's get this. I don't know about you guys. I have been taking a time out from technology this weekend. I have kind of needed it. I don't know about you guys. And even with my time out from technology, I really wasn't taking that much of a time out. It was more like, okay, maybe I'll just answer my phone, kept my laptop off for a while. But you guys ever find that you just need a break from technology, especially with quarantine going on, because we've become so much more reliant upon technology, where it's like our life force now? Yeah, I have needed to, both for my brain cognitive function as well as my own, personal well-being, my mental stability. Good morning, Christina Marie. Happy Monday. Um, so while technology has been such a blessing in this time to be able to connect all of us together, it's also important to remember to ground yourself, literally and figuratively, where you can, the practice of grounding is literally taking your shoes off and walking, grounding your feet onto the ground, which can be a very therapeutic form of healing and just getting literally in touch with nature. It can really give you pause. And that's why in certain meditation techniques, it's nice to just reflect and just give yourself a second to feel the breath coming in. Pay attention to how it feels coming through your nostrils, the way the cooler air feels coming in your body versus going out of your body. Feeling the clothing on your skin versus the exposed skin. Just paying attention to all these little things that we don't necessarily attune to and notice as we go about our daily lives. It's important to take notice of those things because it's those tiny little moments that make up the whole of our whole lives. And that goes to the point that I made a while ago about how the more you can extend your breathing, the longer the breaths you take, the longer your life. You're actually prolonging your life because you are taking in more in a shorter period of time. So, that being said, taking time out from technology, as great as it is to connect us, it's really important to take time away from it and to just kind of deconstruct back into the origins of humanity and to connect. And I know it'll be a lot easier when we're able to actually reconnect in person. So it's definitely good to have, and I'm a big proponent of these virtual coffee dates. I literally have one lined up with a different friend every single day this week and last week and bleeding into next week. Like, it's great. So I'm a big fan of that. But at the same time, you also need to create boundaries and space for yourself that doesn't involve staring at a computer screen, whether it's doing work, job searching, watching videos, participating in the amazing Quarantine Network, checking your phone, responding to text messages, playing video games, watching TV, that thing, any kind of screen. It's really important that we take time to unplug. And I'll be honest, it actually took my eyes a while of getting used to. I actually had to cut Friday completely off personally and give myself a quicker timeout than what I would normally have done to acclimate quicker to just getting into reading an actual book, which I do often, but I had had so much extra intense time over last week cumulatively with all of the extra work that I've been doing, both for different things related to my own coaching practice, plus the Quarantine Network, plus other things where I had been on my laptop a significant amount between my laptop and my phone versus what I normally have been, that I actually needed to give myself extra time to decompress. Usually on the weekends, I try to avoid being on them as much as possible. And this weekend, I had to make a concerted effort. So I know that we're just starting the week, but I do want to put that out there as a challenge to encourage you to take breaks throughout the day. Experts do say that even when you are working at work and have to be on a computer, to I know definitely every hour to take some time to like just kind of veer off in the distance and kind of let your eyes kind of zone out a bit. But I think there's something in it every 15 minutes to look away for 15 seconds or 45 seconds, something like that, some ratio like that. Anyway, my laptop, speaking of technology, my laptop just gave me a warning that it's probably not going to want to hang out as long as we are going to hang out. So give me just one quick moment to go ahead and get the charger to plug it in, and I will be right back. In the meantime, might as well go ahead and grab your journals because you never know. You might want to write something down. I'll be right back. Okie dokie. Hope I didn't lose too many of you. So, you are watching, in case you weren't familiar, Wild Blossom Beacon Coaching. That's me. Well, actually, that's the name of my practice. I am Cassandra Renee. So, hi, nice to meet you. And for those of you just tuning in who didn't see me just pause and leave, hi, I'm Cassandra Renee. Welcome to Rise and Shine. So, being that it is Monday, I like to have little things for each day. And Mondays, I like to play around with either Manifest Mondays or Me on Monday. So with that, I'd like you guys to go ahead and type in, first off, just tell me, where you're watching from, because I like to see. I know we've got viewers in Thailand, Germany. We've got viewers in Canada, Mexico. I'm in Vegas. I know we've got viewers in California, Massachusetts, New York. So type in, let me know where you're viewing from, and let me know what you are intending to manifest this week. New to manifesting? That's okay. You've actually tuned into the right episode too. So manifesting doesn't mean that you have to be some spiritual woo-woo or some guru or anything like that. And it also doesn't mean that you have to be some really religious person that's like, it's me and God or whatnot. Manifesting is all about co-creation, setting into motion whatever it is that you desire to will into being. And this isn't a blasphemous thing. Ellis, hey, what's up in San Diego? Yeah, we have a lot of San Diegans. So howdy in San Diego. So there's a lot of talk, especially in the recent years, about living your life by design. Oh, you're new to manifesting. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. So living your life by design, creating the life of your dreams. Well, think of anything that you've done for yourself, right? Any new job that you've created or that you've gone out and done, any project that you've accomplished, anything that you've really wanted and you've gone out, whether it was a purchase, a significant other that you were like, I so want to date that person, or anything like that. It's the process of going out and getting it. Now, you might remember from history lessons, manifest destiny. They said, Lewis and Clark, I believe it was, they said, you know what? We're going to claim this whole continent from end to end. That is our destiny. We are making that manifest. That had nothing to do with, they might have claimed it in the name of the king or in the name of their god. That I don't exactly remember. Tiger Lily says, good morning. Okay, mommy's got to work. That part, don't really remember. Wasn't the biggest into the history lessons. But point is, manifest destiny, you always remember with the Lewis and Clark expeditions that they said, okay, we're going to claim the whole continent of America. East Coast to West Coast, we're going to go and we're going to get it, and it's going to be ours. So that is pretty much where manifestation came out, or the manifest, where they would talk about a document like, this is the manifest, this is the declaration, this is what is going to happen. And that's really what it is. It's a declaration of what is going to happen. So when you are manifesting, you are declaring, this is what is happening. So it's what you are manifesting, what you have decided, okay, this is the thing that I declare for me. Central Massachusetts. This week I need to manifest some new healthy skin to take place of the skin I burnt last night. Okay, regeneration. Little side note to that, it's going to smell horrible, but white vinegar. If you put white vinegar on a burn, usually it's helpful to do at night while you're sleeping, but white vinegar on a burn smells awful, but it's gross, but you'll cook overnight and it'll actually brown up and help you heal. It takes away the sting and it takes away the peeling of it, makes it basically speed up everything a lot faster, and you'll brown up. So there's a little heads up on that one. But there's power in unity, right? Like if you're just thinking something, yes, thoughts are things. And if you're just thinking something, it's mostly just in here. Now, thoughts are vibrations and they can carry out. And there is this concept of collective consciousness where if enough people are thinking and focused on something, like the Maharishi effect, where in Washington, D.C., I think it was mid-90s, riots and crime actually was decreased because a significant, I think thousands of people went to one such a place and prayed and focused and just thought about everything healing and being better. And crime statistically totally went down. So that is a thing. Christina, yeah, it's a good tip. So thinking alone can have an effect to a certain extent. But when you declare something, you never know who's listening. Okay, now the cat's angry. Tiger Lily. This is a first, guys. I have had these seashells on this entertainment center for years. I don't know if you can see in the video, but Tiger Lily decided that she would swap them off. You have a little attitude problem, miss. No. Come on. It's a Monday morning. So we got the comic relief from the cat today, I suppose. Anywho, manifesting declarations. So when you never know who's listening, and when you put something out there, you're more able to get assistance, right? Like if you're at work and you have a project and oh, I need this tool or I require this. Well, that's the way you get assistance. That's the way you get help, is when you put it out there. And so I know of a few different companies that it's a really cool thing that they do. She's working on it, yeah. Atlas says the cat's manifesting some food. She knows. They all know. Mom gets up, she does her morning routine, does her show, then we do the POTTY, and then we eat. That's the thing. She's 14 this year, actually this month. So she's kind of taken all of the rules and been like, no, my way now. That old stubborn lady now. But yeah, there's this company that I have a deep respect for. And one of the things that they do is every new hire that they get, they have them put on, they fill out this form that says all the things that they would like to do, that they would like, life goals, bucket list kind of stuff. And they publicly post it on this, like in this hallway. And the CEO of the company will go through and look through, and every once in a while, if he sees something on there, he might just randomly surprise an employee with a book. Like, let's say they would like to travel to a foreign country and don't know the language or whatnot. He'll randomly surprise them with a book on how to speak the language or a book about that country or something. You never know who can be of assistance. And the point of that board is for employees to go through and be like, oh, look, hey, the three of us all want to go backpacking in Norway. Weird. We've never even met before. Well, since that's a common goal, like, hey, it's more likely to happen if the three of us bond together and do this than not. So let's make a plan and make it happen. And this company actually talks about how they've been able to help people's dreams come true simply by declaring and making this manifestation board, if you will. I'm pretty sure that's not what they call it, but that's exactly what it is. And this is what leads into where I've talked about making vision boards and stuff like that, where the things that you would like to see show up in your life, you put them out there, you put them in a space for that so that you can actually see them constantly all the time. And even if you're not consciously focused on it, your subconscious is picking it up. And that's why your environments are so crucial to manifesting and co-creating the things that you wish to obtain and achieve in your life. So taking a look for just a second at what's around you. Is it conducive? Is it in alignment with all the things that you're thinking, speaking, and doing? Is it all coming together to efficiently provide the results that you say you're seeking to achieve? Environment plays a big role in that. So we'll look into that later, but just kind of giving you that basal knowledge on what manifesting is. So that in mind, Manifest Monday. Make your declaration about what it is that you are seeking to manifest, because you never know who might have something that, oh, hey, you should speak to my cousin. They'd know about this, or let me link you up with this person. You never know how that can lead to a new job, a new career, a new relationship, or the exact precise thing that you were actually manifesting in the first place. So it's important to get really clear and focused on what it is you are looking to do. And then the next step, though, is you can't just think it. You have to then take steps to put it into motion. Because if you just think about it and you sit on it, that's when that collective consciousness kicks in, and somebody else that has the ambition and has the gumption and the action, the thought's there, and then they take the action. And then you're sitting there going, well, I had that thought. That could have been me. Well, it could have, but you didn't take action. So first step, making the declaration. So go ahead and declare out there. You never know. You might have a connection. Like Ellis said he wanted to manifest, healthier, regenerative skin that he burned yesterday. Well, assuming it's a sunburn, he got some advice, and then Christina's here watching, and she picked up on the white vinegar advice too. Presuming it's like a burn from like fire or oil or grease fire, something like that, then that's a different case. Maybe grab an aloe plant, something like that. But there is different topic, and we can take that offline, but there is, the power of looking at something and actually, willing it to heal. But let's jump into, so I'd love to see what you guys are looking to manifest this week, this day. Jump into that. Now, we're not totally going into, it's a segue. So we'll go with it. Let's see, what quote would I like to go with? Today, I don't think we're going to spend an entire week on this subject. So we totally could, but being respectful of the platform that I'm on, I think I'm just going to go. Yeah, I think we're just going to jump into this and see how it goes. I think this might just be a one-day crash course. No, that wasn't me. Okay. So this section, so everything that I have been delivering on the Quarantine Network thus far have been excerpts from my 90-day not crash course, but my 90-day intensive, Becoming the Beacon. It is, so for those of you who don't know, I am a life coach. I specialize in self-love, and I do both hourly sessions a la carte. I do a 30-day puppy dog. Everyone is just in a mood this morning. Good morning, Elle. I do a 30-day Becoming Blossoming Beacon course where it's one-on-one sessions with me. And then I have the 90-day, which is full intensive. You get 48 videos, 12 one-hour sessions with me. You get 12 workbooks, a habit tracker, and I think it's 3 or 4 meditations. Plus you get email consults with me a couple times a week in case there's something that comes up. So it's very, very intensive, and it's designed to help you really do the deep work. So of course you can do the deep work with the other packages that I have, but I've been giving you excerpts from this because it's a really good baseline to, plus I love structure, and waking up at 4:30 in the morning to jump on a 6 a.m. show. I'm not necessarily firing on all cylinders, in case you haven't noticed right away. So it helps keep me structured and gives me some guidelines. So that being said, this particular section in my program is about connecting with source, and it's not a religious aspect. It's about connecting with your higher self, whether it's your inner king or queen, whether it is your gods, goddesses, goddess, your whatever it is, the universe, spirit, whatever it is that you assign as your higher power. And to give you a well-rounded figure of who I am and where I come from, I actually was not raised religious, although supposedly we're a Protestant. And I was agnostic for a long time, and then I was actually atheist for a while. So I have gone full spectrum, dipped my toes in various waters, played around with a few different religions. So I can come to you from a very, very, very basic basal knowledge of all areas. And yes, Christina Marie, this is a Harry Potter mug. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Mischief managed. My tea is cooling down, so it's starting to vanish. And actually, it's funny that you mentioned Harry Potter, because that was my journey from being atheist into back in. I went from like agnostic to atheist and then back into agnostic. Was okay, if everyone's telling stories, which I didn't, that's how I viewed them. I said, okay, well, you want to tell stories about walking on water and this and that. Well, I like magic stories, so I'm going to declare the religion of Harry Potter. That's my religion. And obviously I was joking, but I started to play around with the idea of like, well, wouldn't it be cool, like, to have faith in something that I actually have power over, instead of a power that has something that has power over me. And that led me to the law of attraction. And I'm not going to dilute my beliefs. I like to embody and encompass and make space for all denominations and all sources, because I do see similarities for all of them, and all are welcome. So I find it fascinating when you start learning the intricacies behind different stories and whatnot. And when you realize that we are all co-creating, and hence that manifestation, it doesn't discriminate between religions. It doesn't discriminate between faiths and denominations, that we all have the power to co-create and co-manifest. Once we tap into, there's Cassandra, and then there's Queen Cassandra. There's the higher source. There's the higher elevation. There's God, goddess, goddesses, the universe, source, spirit, whatever you would like to call it. I'm not diluting it. I'm merely expanding what you would like to embrace, to make space for it. So, and that brings me to a quote that I would like to open this up with. And this is actually by the man who founded the company I was praising earlier about the manifestation board for the employees. That company is called Mind Valley. And if you have not heard of them, I strongly recommend checking them out. They were pivotal in my personal growth transformation. And this man, his name is Vishen Lakhiani. And he says, your spirituality should be discovered, not inherited. And he is very pivotal in where we're going with today's show. So stay tuned. So speaking of Vishen, let's go ahead with another quote of his, shall we? The world of absolute truth is fact-based, right? Absolute truth. The world of the culturescape is opinion-based and agreement-based. Yet even though it exists solely in our heads, it is very, very real. So what he means by culturescape is basically the world that we're living in. It consists of the culturescape and it consists of absolute truth. There are absolute truths and facts, right? But then there's the culturescapes where, one ought to act like this. It's the shoulding on society, right? One, you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do that, there's a reason should sounds like, yeah. It's not very good and it doesn't smell very good either, right? It doesn't feel good when you're being should all over. And so even though these concepts are all in our head, it's very, very real to us. Things like calories. Can't see them, can't feel them, can't taste them, can't even really weigh them. Yet many people rule their lives by calories. Can't have too many calories. They don't even really exist. They're not even really a thing. They're a thing. Laws, LLCs, corporations. Those are things. The building is a building. The building is not a corporation. The building is not an LLC. The building is a building. The corporation, at best, is a piece of paper. A law, at best, is a piece of paper. It's a concept. And yet, our lives, businesses, companies, ways of living are entirely ruled by these concepts. Even though they're non-existent, they don't physically exist. So that's the world of a culturescape. It's things that we have manifested and we've put into concept that are not concrete, but they are very, very real. Keeping that in mind, if you can't win, change the rules. If you can't change the rules, ignore them. Now, I said rules, not laws. I'm not telling you to go and create anarchy. That's a quote by Peter Diamandis, and he is, if I'm not mistaken, he founded the 10x SpaceX exploration. He's a very high-tech wealthy man who basically Ella says it's some Matrix type stuff, very deep. Yeah. Welcome to me. And this is me firing at about this much tea early in the morning. So just wait till I'm really getting going. Anyway, Peter Diamandis, look him up. He's done some really remarkable things. And it's a good concept to have. If you can't win, change the rules. If you can't change the rules, ignore them. Now, this bleeds into a video that I recorded, I think it was last week, about the fishbowl. We're told to dream big. So we dream big. To here. We dream big within the confines that we're put in. And then maybe somebody comes along and says, honey, you can have a bigger box. Dream big. Oh, so I can dream bigger here? It's not very often someone comes along and says, why are you in a box at all? Why are you in this fishbowl? I use the fishbowl concept, and you can go back and watch this video. Goldfish actually can grow to be phenomenally huge, but we know goldfish to be about that big, this big at maximum, because they have this genetic ability to be aware of their surroundings and only grow as big as will serve them in their surroundings. They won't grow any bigger, because if they get too big, they're not going to be able to live, survive, and thrive in their environment. So they're consciously aware of how big they can get. So are you. You put a goldfish in a bigger aquarium, it will grow bigger. You put a goldfish in a pond or I don't know if there's saltwater or freshwater, but you put them in the right body of water that's essentially really, really, really big, and they will grow really, really, really big. And that's what happens with our dreams. We don't think big enough. And so we think like, okay, yes. And I am one to talk. I love structure. I love rules. I love my calendar. I live by my calendar. And if you're going to be any bit of a success, you do have to have some sort of structure. You have to. But, it's been said, no, what was the exact quote? And I literally just read it last night too. Well-behaved women rarely make history. Yes, structure is good overall, in general, because not everybody is the same, but in general, we have a lot of similarities. And when you have a large organization, when you have a large group, there has to be some concept of order. Otherwise, chaos and anarchy will happen for a little while until somebody else steps up and says, now I'm in charge and this is the way it's going to be. That's the natural order of things. Humans are naturally inclined to be led. That doesn't mean we all have to be led. And that doesn't mean that we all are followers. We can all be leaders in our own lives. And that's where it's up to us to take charge and say, what is it I desire in my life? And how am I going to manifest that? How am I going to take charge in that? And do these rules apply to me? Now, that's not to say don't obey the speed limit. That's not to say I can go ahead and kill this person because I don't like them and they're not beneficial to my life. No. It's not like that at all. But let me say that again. If you can't win, change the rules. If you can't change the rules, ignore them. This, of course, meaning self-serving in a way that is non-threatening to others, right? Do no harm. But maybe you don't have to follow things. It's like that scene in Pleasantville, Reese Witherspoon and Tobey Maguire movie, where Jeff Daniels' character is in the soda shop and he rubbed a tarnish in the counter because he didn't know what to do, and he just kept cleaning that same spot. And Tobey Maguire's character was like, dude, no, you don't. He's like, well, you always do this, and then you do this, and then you do that. Like, this is the order. This is the way we've always done things. And he's like, if I'm not here, you can do this. You can do that. It's just that, like, holy crap, I never thought that I could do it that way. Like, Common Core math. I know, and I'm not even a parent, I know you don't like it. Neither do I. I look at it and my brain just wants to short circuit. But you got to give whoever the jerk is who came up with it, you got to give them a little bit of credit, because they at least were like, there's a different way. There's a new way to do it. Now, whoever was like, yes, and we should teach that, they're assholes. But it's a way to prove that, hey, someone was able to take a concept and say, let's do it a little differently. This way doesn't work for me. And I wish that schools would pick up the concept and say, hey, if the kid excels with Common Core, great, let them do it. But if the kid can also come to the same conclusion and gets it done the traditional way, great. Don't mark them wrong because they didn't follow the rules. I just read a story 2 days ago where this girl, her homework assignment was to circle all of the answers, whatever, was to circle them. And she got all of the answers correct, but instead of circling them, she drew a heart around them. And the teacher marked her wrong for not following the rules, because the rules said circle, not heart. And thankfully, the mother stood up for her and was like, look, as long as she got the concept right, let her be herself. Let her have her own individuality. And that is the big problem. I'm saying problem, and this is going to bleed into where we're headed with this in just a moment. But we often get so caught up on the structure and no, it has to be like this, that we've got our blinders on, we're putting ourselves back into that fishbowl, and we're not allowing ourselves to be creatively expressive. And we're living within the confines that we've given ourselves. And that's why if we're not really manifesting, it's because we haven't given ourselves permission to, first off. And then given ourselves a space to. We don't even know that we can fly because we haven't given ourselves room to even spread our wings. And instead of focusing on processes are important, and oh gosh, if she draws hearts, then she might lead a rebellion, and we can't have a rebellion, so we have to have her draw circles because that's what we said, circles. Does she know the answers? And I think about this because I remember a kid, I won't, give out his last name, but I remember I grew up with this kid, Chris. And I graduated third in my class. I prided myself on my intelligence and how smart I was and how I excelled at everything. When we were in English class, kids groaned. They hated when we would have to swap papers and we would go through as a class and grade each other's papers, especially if it was essays. No one ever wanted to read mine. They automatically gave me 100 because they knew it was going to be good. They knew it was going to be wordy. They knew it was going to have words in there that they didn't even know or understand or could pronounce. And they knew it was going to be long. Can you tell I'm a talker? I write the way I talk. I've always had that gift. And I've always been very good in that department. Well, there was this boy, Chris, and he always seemed to be, we had this category of kids in school, we call them skate rats. And they were kids that we kind of thought less of. We didn't think that they were ever going to amount to anything. They just hung out and wanted to skateboard all day. Some of them were kind of scruffy. They were kind of poor. And some of them weren't, but they wore tattered baggy jeans and ripped jeans and tie-dye. And, they were probably, some of them were kind of like not really the good kids. They would hang out in the street corners and smoke and stuff like that. And I come from a small town, so we definitely mixed. And towards my junior and senior year, I started hanging out with them. And I noticed that some of my other friends who came from the upper crust of the town, they were hanging out with them, but they were dressing and acting like them. Anyway, this one kid, Chris, didn't really know his exact background. I just knew that he was in the skate rat crowd. You're right, nothing wrong with that. This all ties together. So we judged him, right? We had these labels. I read his paper once. His paper was freaking brilliant. And I knew he was a C student. And I got curious. And it didn't help that he had this tan skin and these crystal blue eyes. He was really cute, but it was like, oh no, you can't like him. He's like a bad kid. He's like a bad influence. Can't like him. He's a bad boy. And there's no way this kid can be this smart. There's no way he can be as smart as me, let alone just smart in general. Like, he never puts forth any effort. He never applies himself. And I didn't really ever get a chance to get to know him because, oh no, like, I came from this side of the tracks. He was on that side of the tracks. Like, nope. Stupid. Turns out the kid was brilliant, but he never applied himself. And had anyone, and maybe people did, but I don't believe, I think that too many people put him in a small fishbowl. I think that too many people didn't expect anything from him, didn't expect enough from him. And so he didn't apply himself. I noticed him, I struck up a small friendship with him towards the end of our high school years together. And I ended up realizing that I found him actually purposefully getting questions wrong because he liked his status in his group of friends and he wanted to keep it. And if it was discovered that he was actually as smart as he was, he might lose that. And that's sad. That goes back to what we talked about in our beliefs section, the crime of outshining. If they discover who I really am, they won't like me anymore. Where am I going with all this? I spent 45 minutes talking about all this, and it looks like we're going to talk about this again tomorrow, which is totally cool because I love this subject. I'm going with the concept of a brule. B-R-U-L-E. Rule with a B on it. And what does that B stand for? Bullshit. It's a bullshit rule. Brule. And this concept was coined by Vishen Lakhiani over at Mind Valley. A brule, actually I don't have the book on me, so I'll grab that book for tomorrow's episode. Basically a brule, a bullshit rule, is a concept where we're finding ourselves going along with something just as it is. Following a rule, following a law, because I said so. Because it is. Because that's just the way it is. Because our kind doesn't associate with their kind. Because I'm not expected to be any better than this. And I don't have to be. And it's more effort, so I'm not going to be. In the stories that I've shared with you in the past 45 minutes, there were a lot of rules. The judgments I passed on Chris, the pigeonholing Chris did to himself, the judgments I passed on the skate rats themselves, and it's that moment of curiosity. It's that moment of, what if this isn't actually true? Or what if they're not all like that? And if they're not all like that, why is this a thing? Why is a rule put in place for everyone? Now, so rules were introduced to me in this book that Vishen Lakhiani wrote called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. I have read that book at least once a year, every year since I got it. And every year I get something new out of it. So I highly recommend it. And Vishen introduces the concept. So he is Malaysian. And so he comes from a Hindi background. And he talks about how growing up, he's actually from Malaysia, but he came to America when he was very young. And he, as part of his culture, didn't eat beef. And being in America, seeing kids eat McDonald's all the time, he just, became questionable and just questioned his mom and, why can't why can't I have a cheeseburger? They look really good and everyone's eating them and it doesn't seem to be a big deal. I'd really like to try one. And he was really fortunate. He had really forward-thinking parents, and his mom said, well, why don't you tell me? So he went, did some research. I see a lot of similarities in the way he and I operate because I would have been the same way. My mom wouldn't have been the same way, but I would have done the same thing. It's like, oh, let me go find out. Let me find out the history. And he goes back to his mom and says, well, back in the day when they made this rule, cows were sacred. Not only did they, help us with, everything, but like they were, they helped us farm and they helped us, we didn't have machines to do all the plowing and stuff. So they were the plows. They, helped take care of all this stuff. And so to show reverence and honor to them, we vowed not to eat them. And now we've got machines that can do that. So we don't need to have reverence. We don't need to make that pact with these animals, so to speak. And mind you, this was a little kid making an argument for wanting to eat a cheeseburger. So regardless of what your views are, whether you eat meat or not, mind you, this is a little kid making an argument to be able to have a cheeseburger. And so, he said, so I guess, it might be kind of outdated since we now have machines to do that work, which we didn't have back when these rules were made. His mom was very impressed and she was like, well, you know what? Go ahead. I think you've earned yourself a hamburger if that's what you would like. And that's the way he tells his story of discovering his first Brule. That it was a bullshit rule that because you are a certain religious denomination, that you cannot eat a certain food. He then goes on to explain that the hamburger, whether it was a hamburger or cheeseburger, wasn't really the greatest thing in the world, but he was like, oh, well, this exists and that's cool. And I'm proud of myself because it wasn't so much the hamburger as it was the reward for, holy crap, I just challenged something that not only did I challenge a rule of my mom, of my family, but I just challenged a religious rule that's been held for centuries. Holy crap. And I won. And I'm like, I don't know, 7. Like, that was the important lesson there. And so that's where he started pursuing and spent basically his life pursuing, well, what other rules are there? And so I think that is where I'm going to stop so I can leave a good juicy amount to get into for tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll go into evaluating whether or not something is a Brule. Although I'm pretty sure you can probably, you guys are smart cookies. You can probably figure out some ways. So actually, let me put it to you. Let's get some interaction going. What do you think, and toss them at me. What do you think the Brule is that is present in your own life right now? Is something that you are currently dealing with that you think might be a Brule? Could it be, doesn't have to be religious. Social rules, Ellis. Awesome. What do you mean? Give me an example. Money is evil. Thank you, Kimba. Yes, that is totally a Brule. Now that is a multi-sided Brule for sure. Money, I love this one though. Money is currency. Currency is an exchange. Well, an exchange is energy. So money is energy. That's neither good or bad. And something my mentor says is we have to get rid of the concept that money doesn't buy happiness, because in fact, that is the only thing that money does buy. Think about that, right? So yeah, money is evil is definitely a Brule. How is that serving you? How does that make life better for you? How does that improve your life? How does that keep you safe? Now, you might be able to go and do your little, essay and your research on, okay, well, maybe somebody said money was evil because somebody made a lot of money and was irresponsible with it and boasted about how much money they had, and then somebody came and killed them and then stole all their gold. And so had they not had that money, they would have still had their life. So money caused them to die. Well, and in actuality, no, that person being foolish and unwise about their money is what necessarily, caused them to die, but that got passed down. So there's all these different ways. And I'll give you a hint when it comes to Brules. Usually there's some form of control. There's a reason for control in it for it to become a Brule. It could be well-intentioned, could be totally good-natured initially, but chances are, if you think of an evil dictator or an evil ruler, and this comes with playing around with things mentally. Now, it doesn't have to be true, but if you can be like, some evil monkey manipulated this, might be a Brule. We'll play this game tomorrow. Even knowing that isn't true cannot snap me out of it. Oh, well, we have plenty of ways to snap you out of that, Kimba. I'm gonna hang tight for a second. I want to get to Ellis's thing real quick, but then we're gonna pounce back on that. Like, okay, Ellis says, like, everybody watching Tiger King, so I have to watch it too. Kind of. That's more along when we were talking about the culturescape. That's more along with that. We're going along to kind of fit in. So that's more like FOMO, fear of missing out. Not so much a Brule. But kind of. That's more on like, it's not more like a hard, firm Brule, but more of like a softer ish. Like everyone else is doing it, so I have to too. Kind of. Typically, Brules don't feel good. Typically, they're telling you that you need to or need to not do something, and in doing that thing or not doing that thing, you don't feel awesome in regards to your choice. Does that make a little more sense? So, like, if you choose to watch Tiger King and you're just like, I really don't want to watch freaking Tiger King, I mean, are you really going to turn it on if you don't have some essence of curiosity to it? You probably are a little bit curious. You're probably going to watch it. So I wouldn't totally see that as a Brule. I would say that's more of definitely part of the culturescape for sure, but more of a FOMO concept than a Brule. Maybe in that terms, a Brule could be like, could be that Netflix and chill means Netflix and hook up. Like that's the Brule. Like, oh, if we say we're going to Netflix and chill, you know what we're really going to do. I legit wanted to cuddle, have some hot cocoa, and watch this movie. Go away. Like, nah. Like, it's a bullshit rule. Just because you said we're gonna Netflix and chill doesn't mean I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna chill. Something like that. Yeah, hopping on that. Oh man, we got a minute. Kimba, I love that one. Let's get back to that tomorrow, okay? I hope to see you here tomorrow so we can cover the money is evil thing, because that is a huge, 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 huge issue for so many people. And wealth consciousness is a whole other thing, which I am happy. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that tomorrow. We'll finish covering what I wanted to cover with Brules tomorrow. And then the other half of tomorrow's episode, we'll jump into wealth consciousness. So I will make a note of that. And then I hope to see you here tomorrow, Kimba, so you can keep me honest and hold me to that, so we can talk more about wealth consciousness, because I think that's very important, and I'm glad you addressed that. So we'll do kind of like a separate tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for being here. And if you would like to know more about what I do, how I operate, I offer free clarity calls. It's about a half an hour one-on-one session with you and I in a video chat. And we go over whatever it is you're looking to achieve. Like, for example, if Kimba wanted to have a clarity call with me, we could do one-on-one, like, hey, I've got these money blocks and I don't know how to get rid of them. And, let's go. We could spend half an hour on a clarity call talking about that, or relationship, career, or I've got these, like, I'm so over these mother issues, or whatever it is, or I've got this goal that I really want to work on. You name it. That's what a life coach does. I help you with that. So if you're interested or curious about that, send me a message. Hi, Dan. You can schedule a clarity call, totally free, and we'll go in and we'll talk about stuff like that. And then we'll go from there and see how we put together a success plan where you are going to walk a breakthrough and an actionable takeaway to just implement right then and there. So go ahead, and that is my time for today. So you guys have an amazing day. I will see you tomorrow morning for Rise and Shine, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, guys, cough into your elbow, wash your hands, and stay home. Love you all. Thank you, Kimba. You have a great day too.